Have you ever watched your world fall apart and wondered why some people keep walking while others collapse? They move through the same storms, yet something in them stays still, like iron held steady in fire. No noise, no show, just quiet endurance. Maybe strength isn't about winning the fight outside, but mastering the one within. Stay with me, let's find out. As we step into the first chapter, imagine standing in front of a mirror early in the morning. The room is quiet, the world still half asleep, and you catch your own reflection staring back, not with hatred, but with that dull ache that whispers, "I could be more." You know the feeling. You don't hate your life, but you ache for the gap between who you are and who you could be. That space is where most people live. It's comfortable, familiar, but quietly suffocating. It's the fog between potential and procrastination, between knowing and doing. 99% of people never leave it. They wait for the right time, the perfect mood, the ideal circumstance. But the truth is, there is no perfect moment. There is only this one. Now imagine a different kind of person. The rare one who moves when no one else does. The one who, while the world sleeps in self-doubt, takes one quiet step forward. That's the essence of the 1% mindset. It isn't a badge of superiority or a secret code of the elite. It's the decision to choose the harder path when everyone else chooses comfort. When the crowd rushes to speak louder, faster, to do more, they slow down, they act with clarity, they choose precision over speed. They don't chase applause, they earn their own respect, and that changes everything. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." The 1% understand this truth intimately. Most people are led by their emotions, tossed around like leaves in the wind. They're carried by anger, fear, excitement, and exhaustion, never realizing that the same wind that moves them also blinds them. But those who choose differently, they anchor themselves. They move like trees, able to bend but never break. Their roots are deep. Their calm isn't weakness, it's command. Here's the paradox. The 1% aren't extraordinary by birth. They are ordinary people who make extraordinary decisions in ordinary moments. When the world complains, they work. When the world hesitates, they begin. When the world says, "I can't," they whisper, "I'll try again." They don't wait to feel ready. They act to become ready. That's their quiet rebellion, turning every excuse into action, every setback into discipline. Marcus Aurelius, surrounded by chaos, loss, and betrayal, didn't shout his strength into the world. He wrote it down, alone, in candlelight, reminding himself not to rage, not to blame, not to forget that tomorrow isn't promised. In his stillness, he found power. He showed that strength isn't about conquering others, but about refusing to let the world conquer your peace. That is the core of Stoicism, the art of responding instead of reacting, of standing calm in the middle of the storm. And so, when life begins to close in, when noise and doubt start to drown your sense of direction, remember this: the 1% feel that too. They feel fear, they feel exhaustion, they feel the weight of solitude pressing on their chest. But instead of running from the pain, they walk straight through it. They understand that every ache, every silence, every moment of discomfort is not punishment, it's the forge. It's the place where steel hardens, where weakness burns away. So when you find yourself standing in that mirror again, staring into your own eyes, don't flinch from what you see. Don't escape it with distractions. Look closer. Ask yourself the question most never dare to ask: what am I avoiding? Because the moment you stop running from that answer, the very moment you face it, you've already stepped away from the 99%. You've already begun to lead your mind instead of being led by it, and that's where mastery begins. Moving into the second chapter, picture a single spark in the dark. It's small, fragile, almost uncertain of its own light, yet with every breath of wind, it learns not to fade, but to bend, to feed on its own endurance until it becomes a slow, steady fire. That's how greatness begins, not in applause or recognition, but in silence, in the quiet rhythm of effort that no one sees. The truth is simple, but uncomfortable. While the world hunts for shortcuts, the few who rise understand that there are none. Greatness doesn't arrive overnight. It grows quietly, painfully, like a seed breaking open beneath the soil. The slow fire of greatness is not the rush you feel when you start something new. It's what remains when that rush is gone. It's the calm persistence that stays after excitement fades. We live in an age that worships speed. Everyone wants results now, a stronger body in a month, a successful career in half a year, peace of mind after a weekend retreat. But the Stoics warned us about this illusion. Seneca wrote, "He who is everywhere is nowhere." The same applies to time. When your attention is scattered across desires, you lose the discipline to build anything lasting. Impatience is the sickness of this age. When progress feels invisible, people quit. They call it failure, but it's not failure. It's just time asking whether you're worthy of what you're chasing. True greatness doesn't explode, it accumulates, like a pine tree that grows on the edge of a cliff, holding its roots against the fiercest wind, like a diamond forged over centuries of pressure in the dark. The 1% understand this. They build quietly, layer by layer, waking early when no one notices, saying no to distractions when it's easier to drift, reading one page, writing one thought, holding back one careless word. These small acts, done daily, form the unseen structure of progress. You don't see it today, you may not see it tomorrow, but each day adds weight to the foundation. And one day, when others have stopped trying, you'll realize how far you've come simply because you never stopped. I once spoke with a man who failed 3 times trying to build his business. Each failure left a mark, not on his record, but on his resolve. After the 3rd collapse, he told me, "Maybe I'm not made for this." Yet the next morning, he went back to work as if none of it had happened. 2 hours of study before dawn, 1 hour at night to record what he'd learned. He did that every day for 3 years. When I asked him later what changed, he smiled and said, "Nothing. I just didn't skip the days I didn't feel like it." That, right there, is Stoic discipline in its purest form. Doing what is right, not because you expect reward, but because not doing it would make you weaker tomorrow. Marcus Aurelius captured this spirit perfectly. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. The 1% don't waste time waiting for inspiration. They act out of duty, not mood. When energy is gone, they generate it. When motivation disappears, they keep their word. That's how the mind becomes an ally instead of an enemy. You've seen these people, the one running through rain before sunrise, the writer still awake while the world sleeps, the student learning quietly, though no one's watching. Their lives aren't loud, but they echo discipline. They don't post their grind. They don't announce their goals. They simply live them. So pause for a moment. Look at your own efforts. Have you truly given your seed time to grow? Or have you been digging it up each day to check if it's ready? Progress hides from those who demand it too soon. Give it time, give it patience, because greatness belongs to those who endure the unseen seasons, the long nights, the slow days, the silence between results. The 1% don't win by speed, they win by endurance. And in the long fire of effort, endurance burns brighter than any spark of luck. Advancing to the third chapter, picture a bridge stretching across a vast gulf. On one side, your dreams. On the other, the life you actually live. Between them lies a single path, built not from luck or inspiration, but from discipline. Every step across that bridge demands consistency. Every plank is laid by repetition, not emotion. And yet, most never make it halfway. They stop where comfort begins to whisper louder than purpose. They stop where I want feels easier than I will. But the 1% sound, they keep walking, even when the wind of fatigue, boredom, and doubt tries to push them back. We live in an age addicted to shortcuts. Everyone wants the prize without the process, the result without the repetition. But the Stoics knew better. Seneca wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." To them, discipline wasn't a cage. It was liberation, because once you are no longer a slave to your impulses, to laziness, distraction, or fear, you finally become free to live with intention. Most people wait for inspiration, but inspiration is fickle. It's like a storm that shows up uninvited and disappears when you need it most. Discipline, on the other hand, is the clear sky after the storm. It's steady, it's quiet, it stays. I once had a friend who told me, "I can't write today. I'm not inspired." I asked him, if a soldier waited for motivation before picking up his shield, would he survive the battle? Inspiration is a liar. It flatters you when life is easy and abandons you when things get hard. Discipline doesn't lie. It shows up, rain or shine, joy or sorrow. It stands firm when everything else collapses. That's why the Stoics saw it as the highest virtue, the daily practice that connects thought to action. Because wisdom without discipline is like a lamp without oil. It knows how to shine, but refuses to burn. Think about it. How many people join a gym in January only to vanish by March? How many buy journals, set goals, make promises, and then abandon them the moment progress hides from sight? They say they want to change, but every morning they hide beneath the same blanket, waiting for the perfect feeling to start. Not because they are weak, but because they have yet to understand that strength isn't born from emotion. It's built through repetition. Discipline begins in the smallest, most ordinary acts. When the alarm rings and you get up instead of bargaining with time. When you sit down to work, even when your mind rebels. When you say no to comfort because duty calls you forward. Those are the unseen moments where character is forged. Marcus Aurelius lived surrounded by chaos, war, betrayal, and loss, yet he still wrote to himself each night, "If it is endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining." That is the Stoic way. You do not wait for life to be easy before you act. You act because it is hard, and acting is what makes you strong. The world doesn't reward wishes. It rewards consistency. And consistency, like a blade, is sharpened by friction. Each time you keep your word, you sharpen your spirit. Every time you break it, you dull it. Discipline is the silent oath between you and yourself. No witnesses, no applause, just proof that you can be trusted by the one person who matters most, you. Thomas Edison once said failure taught him thousands of ways that didn't work. But Marcus Aurelius would have said it differently. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. That's the essence of discipline. Every obstacle you endure with composure becomes another stone in the bridge between dream and reality. Real freedom is not doing whatever you want. It's having the strength to do what you must, even when you don't want to. So, when exhaustion sets in and the mind begins its quiet rebellion, don't take it as a sign to stop. Take it as a test. That's the forge. That's where your strength is being made. Smile at the resistance. It's proof you're in the right place. Because the 1% aren't more talented, more gifted, or more blessed. They're simply more consistent. They show up when others disappear. They choose duty over desire. They act with integrity, even when no one is watching. And that is how they cross the bridge that most only dream of reaching. Entering the 4th chapter, imagine that moment when every light around you fades, when noise dissolves into silence, and you're left standing in the dark with nothing but your own breath. That's where the true journey begins. The dark room isn't a place you can visit. It's a space you enter within yourself. A stillness where you meet your fears, your doubts, and the parts of you that the world never sees. There are no crowds here, no applause, no one to validate your effort. Just you, the weight of your own weakness, and a single question that echoes through the quiet. Will you keep going even when no one's watching? This is where the 1% are made. They understand that glory is not born under bright lights, but in the unseen hours when no one knows your name. Like a seed buried in the cold soil, greatness decays first before it blooms. It must die in silence to rise in strength. That silence, that invisible struggle, is not punishment. It's preparation. The Stoics had a word for the peace found there, ataraxia, calm in the middle of chaos. When you learn to be still amid noise, to hold your center when the world pulls at you, you don't just become stronger, you become free. Seneca once wrote, "Fire tests gold, adversity tests brave men." And the one who endures the fire willingly, who shapes himself in it, learns a power that no flame can destroy. Why is this darkness so essential? Because the world only celebrates the visible. It claps for the victory, not the discipline that forged it. People call you lucky, but they never saw the nights you wrestled with fatigue, the mornings you rose when your spirit begged for rest. They never saw the hours of solitude where you chose consistency over comfort. In an age obsessed with attention, invisibility has become a rare form of strength. When you no longer crave to be seen, you can finally see yourself clearly. You don't need to prove your effort to the world. You only need to prove that you haven't stopped. So, how do you enter your own dark room? You start small. When you read one more page instead of scrolling mindlessly, you're there. When you train though no one's watching, you're there. When someone disrespects you and you choose silence instead of anger, you're building your inner armor. Each quiet act of discipline adds another layer to your strength. Every evening you sit with yourself, even for 15 minutes, to ask, what made me better today than yesterday? That's not a ritual. That's how warriors of the mind are made. I once knew a man who built his company in complete silence for 3 years. No posts, no announcements, no validation. He told me, I don't need the world to know what I'm doing. I just need to know I haven't stopped. When his company finally succeeded, everyone called it an overnight miracle, but they never saw the 1,000 invisible hours that came before. He wasn't chasing the light. He was building his fire in the dark. And that's the truth most people avoid. The darkness isn't your enemy, it's your mentor. It strips you down until only what's real remains. When you dare to sit in that silence long enough, you begin to hear something most people never do. Your own voice. The one not shaped by noise, comparison, or doubt. the one that says, keep going. Because only those who can stand in darkness earn the right to walk in light without being blinded by it. So if you're still here, listening, it means you haven't given up. Remember this, the dark is not the absence of light. It's where light is born. Stay in it long enough, and when it rises, it will rise within you. At this stage, imagine walking through a thick fog. You can't see far ahead, but you keep moving because something unseen keeps pulling you forward. That quiet pull, that invisible thread, is your why. Most people never find it. They chase noise, not meaning. They run fast, but without direction, and in the end, they mistake movement for progress. The few who rise, the 1%, walk differently. They don't chase the world's rhythm. They move to the sound of their own inner drum. They don't ask, what should I do to succeed? They ask, why does this matter to me? That question changes everything, because when your why is clear, the what and the how follow naturally. When it isn't, even success feels hollow. I've seen people chase everything the world promised, wealth, admiration, control, only to end up empty. They lost themselves in the noise because they never stopped long enough to ask what all of it was for. The Stoics warned us of this. Seneca wrote, "When a man does not know what harbor he is making for, no wind is the right wind. A ship without direction will drift until it breaks." The same is true for the mind. You may work hard, but without purpose, your strength scatters. Vision is not just a goal. It's a lighthouse in the storm. When life blinds you, when fatigue steals your energy and failure tests your spirit, your vision is what keeps you steady. It reminds you that you're not walking for the applause of today, but for the meaning of tomorrow. The 1% don't pray for an easy road. They train for a harder one, because when you live for something greater than comfort, fear begins to lose its grip. Every challenge becomes a teacher. Every setback becomes a test. The Stoics called it living in accordance with nature, in harmony with the highest version of yourself. You stop asking, why is this happening to me, and begin asking, what is this teaching me? I once had a friend who worked tirelessly, chasing every opportunity like a man running through a burning maze. He wanted a better life. But when I asked, what does better mean to you? He went silent. Each time he failed, he broke, not because the pain was too heavy, but because his reason wasn't strong enough to lift him again. One night, exhausted, he sat alone and finally asked himself, why do I really want to succeed? That single question cut deeper than all his years of struggle. He realized his reason wasn't fame or wealth. It was his mother, a woman who had given everything so he could stand where he stood. He didn't want luxury. He wanted peace for her. And that realization changed everything. From that day, he didn't need motivation. He had purpose. The work didn't get easier, but it gained meaning. And strangely, once he stopped chasing success, it began to follow him. That's the quiet paradox of life. When you move with vision instead of hunger, the world aligns itself with you. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "A man's worth is measured by the worth of what he values." The 1% live by this truth. They don't chase validation. They seek contribution. They don't crave attention. They live in alignment. They know every action, every decision is a brick in the foundation of who they're becoming. They aren't trying to be remembered. They're trying to be useful. So if you feel lost, start small. Sit with yourself. Ask one question, why? Write it down. Repeat it every morning until the answer sharpens like a blade. Because when you know your why, you stop waiting for life to push you. You start walking with clarity, You stop being pulled by every distraction and start being guided by conviction. The 1% don't need motivation. They move with meaning. They don't need applause. They are anchored by purpose. And they don't fear the silence. They understand that the greatest journeys begin there. So ask yourself tonight, before the world wakes again, what are you truly living for? If the answer isn't clear yet, don't run. Keep searching, because once you find your why, the world won't just see you differently, it will finally see you. And in that moment, you won't just walk among the crowd, you'll rise quietly above it. Now imagine standing in the middle of your hardest season, the air heavy, your heart worn, everything you once relied on slipping through your hands. You look around and wonder if there's anything left to hold on to. That's where strength is born. The Stoics understood this truth. Life doesn't go easy on those who haven't yet learned why they must keep walking. The world doesn't care how tired you are. It only asks whether you can rise again. The 1% weren't born unbreakable. They became that way through every fall that didn't destroy them. Pain was their forge. It burned away weakness and left behind steel. Most people run from pain as if it's a curse. The few who rise understand it's a teacher. They don't ask, "Why me?" They ask, "What is this teaching me?" In that moment, pain changes shape. It stops being a punishment and becomes purpose. The Stoics called this amor fati, to love your fate, to love even what hurts, because every trial has something to reveal. You don't need to be grateful for the wound, but you can be grateful for what it awakens. Pain, faced rightly, is the fire that tempers the soul. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it. Life does the same to those who choose to stay in the flame." I once met a woman who had been a dancer, her entire world built on grace and motion. Then, in a single accident, it all vanished. Her legs were gone. For nearly a year, she sank into silence, feeling her world end. But one morning, she decided that if she could no longer dance, she would teach others to feel rhythm through stillness. 10 years later, she became one of the most inspiring teachers I'd ever met. She didn't regain her legs. She regained her purpose. That's what the 1% do. They don't demand that life be fair. They turn unfairness into firepower. They know every great door is guarded by a gatekeeper called pain. And the only way through is forward. Avoid it and you stay outside. Walk through it and you change. The Stoics never sought to erase hardship. They sought to rise above it. Epictetus said, "We cannot choose our circumstances, but we can always choose how we meet them." That's where true freedom begins. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. When you learn to stand inside the storm without breaking, everything shifts. You stop fearing the storm because you become it. Every failure becomes a rebirth. Every betrayal teaches you to remain loyal to yourself. Every loss sharpens your gratitude for what remains. If you're listening to this and your life feels like chaos right now, good. It means you're still alive. It means you're still fighting. Remember this: the pain you carry today will become the strength you wield tomorrow. The obstacle is not in your way, it is the way. Today's pain is tomorrow's power. Every scar, every setback, every quiet battle is shaping you into someone the old you could never have endured to become. Life isn't punishing you, it's preparing you. So rise again, walk forward, and let the world see that no obstacle can stop the one who refuses to stop moving. At this stage, imagine waking up each morning feeling like you're breathing but not truly alive. You promise yourself that today will be different, yet 5 more minutes turn into another lost hour. You speak of wanting discipline, yet your surroundings are filled with quiet temptations. The glow of your screen, the clutter on your desk, the constant hum of distraction. You say you want peace, but your own space refuses to let you rest. The truth is, your willpower isn't weak. Your environment is just working against you. The Stoics understood something most people forget. Our behavior doesn't come from emotion, it comes from structure. You won't train if your shoes are buried in a corner. You won't focus if your mind lives in noise. You won't grow if the space around you feeds your old habits. The 1% know this truth well. They don't wait to feel motivated. They design their lives so that the right choice is the natural one. Seneca once said, "Order is the shape of freedom." Discipline is not born from inspiration, but from design. Change isn't forced, it's designed. I once knew a man who used to say, "I'll start tomorrow." Every time, I knew he wouldn't. But then one day, he moved into a small, bare room. No television, no internet, just a wooden desk, a few books, and a single note on the wall that read, "What did I do well today? What can I improve tomorrow?" A month later, he looked like a new man, calmer, clearer, stronger. When I asked what changed, he said, "When I cleaned my room, I cleaned myself." Marcus Aurelius would have understood him. The emperor of Rome, surrounded by noise and chaos, wrote nightly to restore inner order. He believed that peace wasn't found by escaping the world, but by arranging it rightly within. The same principle applies to you. You think habits chain you, but they're the walls that guard your mind from chaos. You think freedom means doing whatever you want, but that's not freedom. That's drift. Real freedom is choosing what's right, even when you don't feel like it. The 1% are free not because they do less, but because they've built systems that keep them steady when willpower fades. Start small. 10 minutes of reflection each night. Sit in silence. Ask yourself, what did I do well today? What can I do better tomorrow? You don't need a long ritual, just honesty. Seneca called this the evening audit of the soul. It's in that quiet moment that wisdom begins to form. When the noise fades, understanding grows. You can't control the world, but you can redesign your corner of it. You can't demand discipline while living in clutter. You can't hear your inner voice if you never make space to listen. Change doesn't arrive all at once. It's built through structure, brick by brick, habit by habit. So ask yourself now, does your environment help you rise, or does it keep you the same? The answer may sting, but it will set you free. The 1% don't wait for balance, they build it. They don't wait for calm, they design it. And you can begin the same way, right where you are, because true order doesn't begin outside you. It begins within you, in the quiet, deliberate act of shaping your own life. Entering the final chapter, imagine standing at the edge of something new, one foot in the comfort of who you've been, the other trembling over the unknown. You want to move forward, yet a small voice in your head whispers, "What if I fail? What if they laugh?" You hesitate, waiting for the perfect moment to begin, believing that only when you're flawless will you be worthy of starting. But that's the mind's most beautiful trap, perfection. It shines like gold, but binds like iron. It keeps you frozen in the illusion of control, too afraid to get dirty, too afraid to look foolish. Growth, on the other hand, asks for mess, for motion, for mistakes. The Stoics never worshipped perfection. They valued progress. Epictetus, taught better to make progress imperfectly than to be stuck perfectly still. The 1% understand this truth. They don't wait to be ready. They begin, even with shaking hands and uncertain steps. They know that fear doesn't fade with thinking. It fades with doing. Each imperfect action grinds fear down, turning hesitation into momentum. Those who chase perfection stand polished but hollow. Those who chase growth stand scarred but real. You see, most people aren't really afraid of failure. They're afraid of being seen while failing. They don't fear being wrong. They fear being watched while wrong. They stay where it feels safe, unjudged, unnoticed, untouched. It looks like peace, but it's not. It's a golden cage built from fear. The 1% step out of that cage. They accept the trembling, the awkwardness, the skeptical eyes, because they know that when weighed against progress, fear always loses. I once spoke with a man who had dreamed for years of building his own business. He was talented, intelligent, but he kept saying, "I'm not ready yet." 5 years passed. When I met him again, he said quietly, "What I regret most isn't failing. It's never beginning. If I had tried, maybe I would have failed, but at least I would have known who I was." His words carried the essence of Stoic truth. Growth is not about reaching perfection. It's about taking responsibility for your life, one imperfect step at a time. The Stoics called this autarkies, self-sufficiency. It's the moment you stop blaming circumstance and start mastering yourself. Every mistake becomes a lesson. Every setback becomes a sign that you're still alive, still moving. Each time you face yourself honestly, you move closer to a kind of freedom that no one can steal. The 1% don't strive to look perfect. They strive to be true. They know growth doesn't happen in applause. It happens in solitude, in the quiet moments when you fall, curse, and still rise again. So ask yourself now, do you want to be admired for a flawless illusion or respected for genuine courage? The world doesn't need more people pretending to be strong. It needs those who move forward while trembling, who act while afraid, who live while uncertain. Because it's in that trembling step forward, not in the frozen pose of perfection, that you finally become unshakable. The Stoic path was never about being untouchable. It's about walking forward, imperfect, unafraid, and real. That is how the 1% rise. Not because they are perfect, but because they keep going. In the end, walking the path of the 1% is not about winning over others. It is about mastering yourself. The 1% are not chosen by fate. They are shaped by choice. They don't run from pain. They walk beside it. They don't wait for an easier life. They grow stronger within the one they already have, quietly, patiently, step by step. Until one day they realize the greatest victory was never over the world, but over their own mind. If you ever feel lost, remember this truth. The path is not for the perfect. It is for the brave, for those who start even when afraid, who keep walking even when unsure. Because courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the will to move through it. That is the heart of Stoicism. To think with reason, act with strength, and stay calm no matter what comes. If these words reached you, let them stay. Let this be the space where your quiet fire grows stronger each day. Subscribe if you're ready to keep walking this path of awareness, calm, and inner power. And in the comments, write your reminder. Stay disciplined, because your journey is only beginning, and the next lesson may be the one that changes everything.